Welcome to a new chapter. Um, this one looks a little bit off. It says lesson 33 on top, but I have lesson 36 on my paper. Either way, we are on page 1 of our new unit.
Good morning, Sawyers.
So we're starting a new unit, and it's called exponential functions. So if you look over on the side, I put how you can tell that something is an exponential function. And the big thing is that there is an x in the exponent. So x, exponent, exponential functions. It all kind of goes together. In this example, there's an a and a b here. Those just stand for numbers. So we'll get into what that all means in the next couple of lessons. As for now, the first thing we're going to do is practice graphing. If you look at number 1, you have y equals 4 times 2 to the x. That dot is a multiply symbol. So when we put this in our calculator, you can use the multiply, you can use parentheses, however you'd like. I'm working on a computer that does not have a graphing calculator, so I'm going to go through the steps. The first thing you do is go to y equals. Anytime we graph, just like we did with lines, we're going to go to y equals. Then you're going to type 4, and you can use the times symbol. I'm a fan of parentheses, so I would do times 2 exponent x. So take a moment, put that in your calculator, and then press graph. So once you hit the graph button, it is something that looks like this. It starts off really, really small and then gets really, really big. So what you're going to do now is go to second graph and look up a table. For all of these problems, we're going to use the same x numbers. Each of them are going to go from -3 to 3. So go second graph, look at the table, and some are going to be decimals. That's okay. Write down what you have. So I looked up on my table and I filled in my y values. Now I'm going to plot the points. So the first one I'm going to plot is, I want to get a different color. Come on, trying to get the green. Sigh. Oh, it's not letting me do that. There we go. The first one I want to do is this, -3, 0.5. So I'm going to go -3 on the x right here, and then up about halfway. That's the point, -3.5. Now I'm going to do -2, 1. So I go left 2, up 1, -1, 2. Our y-intercept is 0, 4, 1, 8, 2, 16. And this last one, 332, doesn't show up on the graph, so just leave that one off. Now to graph, connect, and don't forget to put arrows. And I'm going to label my graph. That's how you do it. Now for number 2, go back to your y equals, press clear, and write down your table for this one. 5 times 2 to the x. So I went to my y equals, typed my problem in, and I wrote my table down here in purple. Remember, the x always goes from -3 to 3. Now I'm going to pause my video again just to save some time, and I'm going to plot my points. Actually, I am not going to pause it and do it because some of these are a little, as my kids would say at home, sus. So I have -3.625. That's a super teeny tiny decimal. So I'm just going to go over to -3 and somewhere between 0 and 1 put a big old dot. -2, 1.25. So just a hair over the 1, I'm going to put a dot. -1, 2.5. 0, 5, 110, and 220. Where's that guy? Okay, 340 is definitely not fitting. So I'm just going to leave that one off my graph. Okay, trying to connect. And there we go. Now, one thing, let me just label. And then one more thing I want to say about this is the graph never goes below the x-axis. Okay, it's like an invisible barrier. It can't dip below there. So when you draw your graph, make sure that your curve stays above that. So what I would like you guys to do now is do numbers 3 and 4, and then I will unpause it and we'll check back and see how you did. So guys, this is what I got for problems 3 and 4. They look a little different. They start off really big and get smaller, but you follow the table and the pattern will show up. So as always, please ask questions if you have them. And we'll go on to the next page. I'm going to make a new video. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm kind of winging it. So if we're looking at page 2, let me just move on. It says, answer the following questions based on the previous graphs. You can pause this and copy the notes down. This is all we're doing. You can cross off exercise 3. I don't like the way it worked out. And then I'll go back to the graph and take a look, and we can go through. So the first section is, what are the x-intercepts for each of the functions? And I wrote, there are no x-intercepts because the graph never crosses the x-axis. I gotta flip my Chromebook back over. Let's see. Well, that's not good. Sorry about that. I don't know where it went. It just went away. So there are no x-intercepts. The graph never crosses the x-axis. So if I drew a picture, okay, trying to change the color, doesn't want to change. Okay. It's this shape. It never crosses. Whoops, now it doesn't work. Holy cow. Just trying to change out of the orange. Sometimes they make it so difficult. Here we go. It never crosses this x-axis. So every exponential function that we do, it's never going to cross that. So now it says, look at the y-intercept. Where in the equation can you find the y-intercept? And I wrote, it is the first number in the equation, the one that doesn't touch the exponent. So let me go back here. Let's look at problem 1. Where's my pen? So the y-intercept is 4. And look, on our graph, it's the 0.04. Problem 2, our y-intercept is 5, because that's the first number in the problem. Trying to get my, there we go, move down. In problem 3, the first number is a 4, our y-intercept is 4. And in this last one, the first number is a 2, and our y-intercept is 2. Now to answer the second question, it's what does the next number stand for, and that is the multiply rate. When I look for these things, I just look at the whole numbers. So look, 1 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. And that's right there. It's our multiply rate. Same thing for number 2. I'm just going to start with my whole number. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20 times 2. And there's our multiply rate right there. Down below, we're multiplying by a half, which means we're cutting it in half. 32 divided by 2 is 16. Cut it in half, it's 8. Cut it in half, 4. Cut it in half, cut it in half. And then the same thing with number 4. So let me go back here. So that's what I wrote there. How is the base determined in each equation? It is the multiply rate. So when we write equations, and it's going to look like this, y equals, and then your first thing is the y-intercept, and then in parentheses, it's the multiply rate. We're multiplying, we're never adding. Multiply rate, and then your exponent is an x. So for exercise 3, we're going to skip that, only because I don't like the way the numbers worked out. They're kind of hard to see. So that is it for this. Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll start doing some more stat edit, which you guys are really good at.